was nothing, just lights in the trees, a trick of the frost, a ghost on the breeze. But I saw a mirror older than me, staring through time like it wanted to speak. The forest went silent, the world held its breath. Something was watching beyond life and death. We stepped through the green, boots breaking the seal, not chasing a light, but something too real. I came back with salt on my skin, my mind split wide where the storm got in. They call it a test, but I know the deal. History blinks beneath the green veil. Yeah.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to our review of Chapter 6, the Convergence Vector, and our preview of the Reclamation Code, Chapter 7. So how are you gentlemen doing? How are you, John?
Doing good.
Christopher?
Awesome, as always.
So as we were coming on the air, John brought to our attention a couple of interesting, informative things that have been going on the last few days between Luna and Avi Loeb appearing on the Soul Foundation podcast. John, fill us in on what the heck is going on now with Atlas.
Well, a couple things that are interesting, and it could tie into what we're doing. The December 19th is when they're going to get the closest look at it now. And that's 4 days? No, 5 days before our final episode. And then at the end of October, there's some other stuff going on. And Bill, you can go ahead and talk about that from the article if you want.
Yes, Chris. So I pulled up this article right before we came on the air, and it's from the New York Post, and it was dated yesterday. And you can see it. It mentions the Manhattan-sized interstellar object 3I Atlas could release mini probes that hit Earth, experts warn. So the article goes on. Anna Paulina Luna, representative from the House, and Avi Loeb are calling for NASA to monitor the Manhattan interstellar object Atlas as it passes the sun on Halloween Eve to ensure that it does not drop off mini probes that could invade Earth. So they appeared together on the podcast. And also, this is a big thing that's been going on since the beginning when this all came out with Avi Loeb's report, his paper, and Luna got involved and actually contacted him. And then she contacted the current acting administrator for NASA. And I'm going to put that letter up in a second, but look what it says. If we're visited by a technical object that like 3I Atlas, it could either visit or release some mini probes that arrive to Earth and appear as UAP. He told the Soul Foundation podcast released on Friday. So I asked the research team to monitor the sky after October when Atlas comes close to the sun to check if there's any additional activity in the atmosphere of the Earth as a result of releasing maybe mini probes. So again, this is speculative in nature. If it could happen, there's nothing here that tells me it's going to. John may differ on that opinion on that, and Chris, we'll get your take on this as well. But Luna, this is the big thing though, the Juno probe, the spacecraft that's been orbiting around Jupiter for years. It's pretty much exhausted its lifespan, and they were going to deorbit it. But now they're talking, Luna wants to send it on a mission to intercept, and not really necessarily intercept, but get closer to Atlas in mid-March next year. And I'm going to put that paper up in a second because I have the letter that she wrote to the administrator. She also teased major revelations to come from Tuesday's hearings on UAPs. She stated that the hearing would begin to address the claims of non-human, as John has mentioned numerous times, NHI, and interdimensional technology. So is this connected to the whole thing that we've been discussing here as we're going over the green veil? I think it might be. I'm just saying, there might be a connection. And, it goes on to talk about declassification of files. And this is the object detected. This might be from the web I'm not sure where this came from, the source of this image. It might be from the web because I've seen something similar to this. So yeah, there goes that article. But just to put this up as well, this is the actual letter that Luna, Representative Luna, sent to the acting administrator for NASA, the Honorable Sean Duffy. And in this, she would like that the Juno is sent on that mission if it's capable of doing that, if it's capable of actually doing a burn to try to reach as close as possible to Atlas mid-March next year. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that. I want to get Chris, let's start with you now. I want to get your take on all this.
Here's the one thing in the article that I find interesting. Normally, when they're talking about something from outer space and they're worried about something breaking off or when they use the word fragments. They didn't use fragments; they used probe. So that was kind of interesting to me because they would say, this object is for, we got to worry about fragments breaking off, because normally a comet would have fragments breaking off because it's ice and rock, and as it heats up and everything, there's definitely fragments that break off. But they didn't use the word; they used probe. Now the definition of probe. Now these people are pretty intelligent people, so they would not misinterpret the word. So when they use the word probes, it could send probes toward Earth. That's a whole different, idea of what they're saying. They're saying something different. They're saying that it's something of either an intelligence type of instrument or controlled by an intelligence type of instrument. When I hear the word probe, it's just like if you were to use the word drone, instead of something flying in the sky. It's almost a little more specific. Does that make sense, Bill?
Mm-hmm. John, what's your opinion on this?
Hold on. I'm just bringing something up here.
Are we getting a hint about chapter 14? Is that airing?
Okay. Are you ready? It's chapter 14. Okay.
Halloween.
On Halloween Eve. Okay. And I'm putting it up right now so you guys can see what it's
Isn't
called.
it amazing, Bill? He won't give us a clue on anything. All of a sudden, he wants to put up a chapter.
I'm not telling you what's in the chapter. I'm just putting it here. It's called chapter 14 is called The Last Silence.
Could you imagine him at a hearing?
And guess what the subtitle is? Encrypted Global Response Briefing.
Which means is that they keep it quiet. They keep whatever it is.
No, it's
it's encrypted.
It's a message.
It's I can't tell you, but
it's a message, Chris.
Yes, it's actually this chapter. If the way they just set this article sets up for Halloween Eve, guys, I'm just telling you, I'm actually starting to get goosebumps on what's coming out. So before anybody says I'm in on it with NASA or somebody else, I'm not. I wrote this completely outside of their purview, and everything that I've put together seems to be starting to fall into place. It really does. I'm just look at it's called Encrypted Global Response Briefing. Mm-hmm. They're preparing to brief us on what's about to happen.
Is that trying to get ahead? John, is that due to they want to get ahead of it? When the event eventually does happen?
Hold on, let me go.
Oh, here we go, Chris.
I'll give you a little bit more.
All right, while he's doing that, this almost sounds like a Halloween version of War of the Worlds.
No, you know what? I looking at chapter 6, looking at some of the other chapters, I'm starting to look at things like Contact. Now, when I talk about the movie Contact, all right, there's two movies that really, really get strong into this with this series. One is Contact, because I remember that we started saying when Fravor had a encounter with the Tic Tacs, they started talking about the suspension of time, not missing time, the suspension of time. And that kind of tunes me into perhaps there's a suspension of time at Rendlesham with all this that takes place. The other thing is, if you look at the movie Countdown with Kirk Douglas, you ever seen that with the aircraft carrier?
Final countdown.
How that was not a ship or anything, but there was time tunnel may be the bad word,
No, it's called a temporal anomaly.
or a vortex, right?
Well, yeah, but it's a little different than a vortex.
All right. Anyways, it's something that can alter your timeline. And I think we see some altering of timelines in John's series here. Am I right, John?
Again,
they talk about
let me try to clarify. Number one, download is not what's going on. Activation. Okay. And what did you say about the timeline again? So I make sure I get this right.
They're looking at alternating timelines.
It's actually a new timeline being created. It's not alternate timelines like some theories are, where they're parallel to each other. No. There's a difference. What you're saying is people believe or speculate there's two different timelines taking place at the same time, and each timeline, you're in each timeline and things are different.
Okay.
This is actually creating a whole different timeline.
All right. Let me ask you a question, though. In this vortex that you're in, I'm going to call it vortex. In this vortex, time tunnel, whatever you want to call it, you meet yourself. Am I correct?
I don't meet. Yes, you could say I meet myself.
Right. Okay. So,
but it's not in the way people would assume it would be.
All right, but your alternate consciousness has to be on a timeline in order for that to happen, right?
It has to come in. Either I go to the alternate timeline,
right,
which is created. See, what I'm trying to explain, Chris, is you're thinking a timeline is something that goes along. Tomorrow's Sunday, and it's the timeline. It's the same timeline. You could have an alternate timeline that's the same thing. It's the same time. It's 7:12 right now Central Time. An alternate timeline. The same people are there, but something different's happening in the timeline.
Correct.
This is a timeline that's being created that you can go forward or backwards in the same timeline you're in.
Okay, and I understand that. The question, I guess, the question I have is, when you meet yourself, is it a new timeline or a alternate timeline? By going
it's
in
neither.
there,
I'm in the same timeline. It's just slower or faster.
But what about all these theories that you cannot interact with your past self because that can alter what happens in the future?
That's what they've said. If you go backwards, if the present goes to the backwards, they claim there's a problem with. You can't go back. You have to go back. How does it work? You can't go. Like if I was born in 60, my future self would have to go back 59 or before. If it comes between 60 or whatever. So obviously, I'm giving away a clue. I must have went forward and met with me in the future.
with your future self.
Yes. So you're not actually screwing with the theory that they have.
When you meet your future self, does it? Well, does it act surprised, or does it know that you're coming?
I can't tell you. That's coming up right at the Halloween time. And we're meeting. The
only time, Bill, that he'll tell us that we're right or wrong is when we're wrong.
No, I want you to think about this, okay?
If we're right, he goes, well, you'll see in the other chapter. Okay.
I'm trying to tell you that I don't want to spoil what's evolved.
I understand.
Like what I'm saying. But what I'm getting at is chapter 14, guys, I just wanted to reread it.
Right.
Lays out the questions you're asking right now, Chris. Exactly how everything lines up and what's going to happen.
I'm just curious, and I'll wait for chapter 14, but I'm curious because by you going into this vortex, to go into this timeline, you change. Your DNA changes, your perspectives changes. You become. I always say that you're a conduit for the signal, because they because in the chapter they monitor the signal, and they say the signal's coming from the vortex, which in fact is coming from you.
Before you answer, I want to add to what Chris just said.
Okay.
Is it also possible that maybe not necessarily altered the DNA, but activated the DNA? The signal activated something
That's a
with
better way.
Well, we're going at, there's a part that they're trying to understand, and it becomes more clarified as they study me going forward from the point when I return the second time. So some of what's being stated now is a hypothesis. I can't say it right.
Hypothesis.
Yes. And then they start to narrow in more what's going on.
But John, in this series that I noticed is I get the impression that you're not the first. That they've been working on this, and it correlates with the Nimitz encounter. As a matter of fact, they try to provoke it to try to get you back. So, I mean, part of it is a rescue mission, that they want to get you back, because Sergeant B is affected by it. Sergeant B actually, more or less rescues you. Right?
Yes.
Right.
He comes in and rescues me.
Right. But he's also affected by this. Maybe not as much as you, but in some respects, he's affected. Now, this thing striking is this Hunter Green. He says we're not in a experimental mode, more to say, we're in a containment mode. They want to contain this. They want to be able to secure it, because from what I understand, the signal is learning about us, but we're not getting as much information as we want. And that frightens them in some respects, because the signal is absorbing information from us, and it's not vice versa. In
Wait,
some respects.
I love that, because now I want to add to this. Is this the first time that maybe you could point a reference to that we actually had human beings going into a test of this kind that created a time distortion bubble, and because of that, there was a little bit of controlled chaos going on, and they're trying to get a handle of everything that's going on, because you're gone, you're disappeared. They're like, where's John? Where did he go? Let's go. Jack. Where's Jack? Where'd Jack go? And they're trying to contain this situation.
But Bill, they knew how to create. They knew how to create to entangle with it.
They hoped that they would be successful in recreating what
Correct.
they just let this happen.
So it couldn't have been the first time.
But what if that was the first time when it was John?
How would they know how to create it?
Because of
Well, guys, you forgot completely already. That was my second time going in it, not the first. I went in it the first time, and then what they learned from the first encounter, they were able to track my harmonics,
right,
and then go in and recreate. They were going to try to recreate what happened the first time, which was natural, and recreate the second time.
And B had the harmonics too.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I think B became either frightened or injured from the harmonics. He was taken not by surprise. Let's say he was taken down by the signal that he was getting. It frightened him. It distorted him in some respects. However, he did rescue John.
Yes, he was able to go back in and bring me out. Yes.
Now, am I correct in saying that the signal had already collected what information they wanted in some respects? Because there's a part in the series that says, and I remember it because there's a vault door that says the signal has what it wants.
But the signal, okay. My future self is what's briefing my present self.
Yeah. Okay. It makes sense.
Is the future self in 2025?
Could be. Sure, kind of lining up that way, isn't it?
It sure is.
And
Come on.
remember for real, or no, Barrett goes under hypnosis, and the phenomenon says, "We will be back for you at some point."
Okay.
So yeah, there you go.
So I want to turn to Atlas now, because you have mentioned this several times that Atlas plays an important part.
It's starting to. I mean,
Right.
what I've said is I wrote this in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for full disclosure, but it didn't play into this, and maybe you guys heard this yourselves, but Lou Elizondo last fall said there might be something coming this way. Then Jerry Corbell early in the year said they were going to tell us something's coming this way.
He alluded to a fake alien invasion.
Yes, he did. So did the guy I can't stand is Greer. Greer jumped on that bandwagon too.
Mhm.
But it's probably not going to be fake. I don't think this is a false flag. I think I'm shocked that what's going on. I'm in as awe as other people should be if they just follow this, is how the green veil is falling right into line with exactly what's being released and where this is going. No different than the episode on Halloween Eve, which, by the way, I didn't write the article. When did they say this was going to happen? Halloween Eve, which is Thursday night.
Okay. Yesterday.
Right. And then they came out December 19th is, let me look at the date.
I'm finding something very else odd that
The 19th is a Friday, which would be right after the 21st episode. So on the 19th is when, in that time frame, is when we're supposed to be able to get a real close look at it.
here's the odd thing. And
Yeah.
Chris, I don't know, John, I think you may have mentioned this on prior of the preview review show. You changed the direction
Oh my God.
of this chapters.
Are you guys ready for chapter 19?
Hold on, before you jump.
Okay.
You changed this in May, and it's like something came to you to go in a different direction. And this is before this all started coming out with Atlas and all that. It's almost as, do you think that the signal had something to do with you changing course when it comes to how this evolved in a 20?
All I can tell you is that something convinced me to change 12 through 22. Yes.
In May.
Something, yes. I had it finished. Then I finished it during the evening, went to bed, and I woke up and I rewrote the 12 through 22.
John, here's an interesting question. I could be.
But can I tell you what chapter 19 is?
Sure.
Yeah, no. You can tell us, but you got to give us a little something when you tell us.
Okay, here's the chapter 19 title. Temporal Convergent Band. Phase duration intermediate. And if that's the closest we're going to get to it, okay, it plays into 20, 21, and 22. And if the probes are launched, what did they say? Halloween?
Halloween Eve, I believe.
That's about the time they would reach for that. And it all fits in to exactly what this chapter say. I'm
Don't
not
you find
I'm
it
not
interesting
making
they're
this up.
using the word probe?
Did they use the word probe?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Let's
we
look
were
this up.
using the word, but wait a minute, we were using the word probe. We were using the word probe early. Remember when we first started doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Back in episode 2 or 3, we said a probe. I didn't want to use the word probe because it sounds, a little politically or incorrect, not politically. So I am as shocked as these updates are coming in that how they're starting to line up exactly with the green veil.
Wow. It does say that. It does literally say, the quote literally says mini probes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They why would they use that and not fragments? That's the thing that I picked up on. I go, why? You know,
Who said mini probes? Did the
it's
writer
right in
say
the
it?
article.
No. There's a difference. Did Javi Loeb say that, or did the writer say that?
Okay, it just says Representative Anna Paulina Luna and Harvard scientist Ivy Lowe, probably when they were on that podcast yesterday, are calling for NASA to monitor the Manhattan-sized interstellar object 3I Atlas as it passes the sun on Halloween Eve to ensure it does not drop off mini probes that could invade Earth. So they must have said that, both of them, when they were on the show.
Okay, that's very. If the writer just said it, but if both of them or Loeb said it, then I can tell you this, guys, right now, and I can't go into too much detail. There's a lot more getting ready to come out.
It was Loeb, John. Here's the quote.
Okay.
Quote, if we are visited by a technological object like 3I Atlas, it could either visit us or release some mini probes that arrive to Earth and appear as UAP, end quote, Loeb told the Soul Foundation podcast on
Falls
Friday.
right in to these
There you go.
chapters coming up. It falls right into it, guys. And I've had no contact with Javi Loeb, and I know he hasn't seen these chapters.
All right, let me ask you a question. I could be way
That's
off base on this.
strange. That is so
This is
strange.
That is strange.
Does Atlas correspond with the signal of Mother Earth?
They haven't said that, but in the Green Veil, it talks about it. Yes.
Okay.
Is there anything that is on Earth that's been here? It's an ancient connection.
Got to
Sure.
be Bill.
There's an ancient connection sitting outside in Rendlesham Forest.
Underneath, right?
Did you see the title? The part of the title of the book says "Home of the Shield." There's
Right.
an ancient site that sits buried. Oops! It sits in the forest. It sits in the forest.
It's buried underground, Chris.
Yeah. And stuff. But the thing is, I'm getting the thing that the Atlas is maybe communicating with what's ever there. We call it Mother Earth, but whatever is buried and stuff, there's a communication that could be
Well,
going on.
what did you just say before we came on air? 8 volcanoes activated at one time.
Right, and that was very unusual.
Yes, that doesn't normally happen. Yeah.
Right.
The Earth is starting to wake up in a different way.
Mhm.
Yes. And there's signs that it really is happening. You can't make this stuff up, guys. I'm just saying, I am in awe that what's happening with the chapters is starting to play out with 3D Atlas. I just am. I am taken aback by this. And I'm not doing this as hype. I am actually taken back. And the titles of these chapters, Bill, you've seen them all. And I gave them to you right away, didn't I?
You did.
You have the title. You got the titles before we put episode 1 out,
I
so
did.
people can't come back and say I made these up later.
No, I had the whole thing
Yeah,
on WordPad. I do have them all, so I'm ready to go. But
Chris, this is getting crazy, man. This is starting.
It's getting different. I mean, we're seeing things being said that they've never said in the entire history of ufology. When I say that, I mean the government. The government has changed their whole tune about UFOs, ufology, and everything. They're allowing these hearings to happen. They're using the word hostile, invasion, as opposed to visiting or no such thing, or things of that nature. And so I think they're spoon feeding us to what's going on because they can't give it to us all at once, or they don't want to give it to us all at once. And I think that's the same thing that you're doing in your series. That
Whoa, slow down. Listen, I want to be critically clear, Chris. This series was to have some fun with what happened to us, explain my research and what could be coming from what happened to us. But I had no connections to the government or Loeb or any of this other
No,
stuff.
no, I'm not saying that, John. What
No, but I mean, I did not expect this, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
I,
This
I,
has caught me completely off guard. And it just keeps getting juicier by the day. And here's the thing, it's all going over everybody's head. Nobody's paying any attention to it.
I think that's one of the things that they've done to us about ufology is that this has become there's so much disinformation into it. Most people go, I really don't care anymore.
Did you see what they said about the object itself? It didn't have a tail, which means it's not a comet, but it has a plasma field around the front of it. It's
Yeah,
using
you
it to
mentioned
go
that
forward.
because
Yeah, and then it's starting. The shield is starting to encase the whole craft because
No,
it's
you see,
getting closer to the sun.
that is something that I have to read up on because I don't know if a non-organic, like a rock or a comet or whatever, can create a plasma field. I don't think it can.
It can't.
I've never heard of
It
it.
can't.
Right.
That's the whole point. It can't.
Right. It's got to be operated by some, I guess, some intelligent type.
It's generating. It doesn't have to be intelligence in it. And I'm not claiming right now, and I haven't seen any evidence of it, or am I claiming that what's in this green veil talks about beings? I'm just saying there is some kind of, it appears to be there is something creating this field. And imagine if down the road they admitted there was some kind of communications coming from it.
Hold on, Chris. Could this atlas have been here at the early inception of Earth's creation itself?
That Hobby Loeb goes into that in this latest article.
Really? Because maybe it's coming back to check in on us.
Yes, it does.
Or change us.
Or evolve, or we evolve or die.
Activation
Yes.
to the next stage of evolution.
Yes. And guess what's in the Hopi prophecy?
The star
This.
people come
The
back.
DNA. It's
They
the
come
DNA.
back. Yeah, they come back.
Right.
It comes back.
There's
And what they're missing is, and I miss this too, guys, and what I mean by miss it is I couldn't put it all together until it's starting to make sense. Whatever comes in activates stuff on the earth, which changes to the next level. This is an activation of both the being, our being ourselves, and Mother Earth together. We are activated together.
John, there's a question in chat. I'm not sure if you can answer it or not, but Bill, is it okay if I read it off?
Of course.
John, please comment on the second sighting at Rendlesham. Ross was interviewing Larry.
So I'm assuming Ross Colhart interviewed Larry.
Yeah,
Ross.
John wants me to get into the weeds on Rendlesham. John, I'm not going to take the bait other than to say this, okay? That night 3, it wasn't the second sighting, it was the third sighting, okay? Because we had night 1 where Pennison and I and Kabanzak went out. Night 2 took place with the same flight, and it involved the shift commander and the flight chief went out because there was stuff seen. There was an interaction there that affected the vehicle. And night 3 was the Colonel Hall incident that took place. And where it gets real dicey for several reasons, which was this whole thing that was meant to be. You just have to look at the memo that was released. The dates were wrong in that. Certain people used those dates to tie into what they were involved with. But those dates, what they said happened was wrong because the memo was wrong. But the night took place, and trying to straighten out exactly if one person was there or how much they played into it isn't worth my time because there's conflicting stories both ways. And if you really want to get back to whether he was there or not, you should probably take the word of the colonel that was out there running the whole thing and was in charge of everybody before you take the word of other people. So,
and John says thank you.
Right. Now,
Yeah,
there was something about the Philadelphia experiment, okay?
Right. We talked about contact. We talked about the countdown and the Philadelphia experiment because they all seem to have alternating timelines to all.
Okay. Take my word for this. because Friday at close of business from the MOD, I got some very interesting news. And what's interesting about it is, if you want to know about what some of what we've got, what we're doing on, start doing some research on the Marx generator.
Marx
And guess,
generator?
yeah, Marx generator. And guess that generator, guess what it was, the original generator was built off of? The Tesla coil.
Oh, okay.
And it was involved in the quote unquote Philadelphia experiment.
The Tesla.
And they've evolved the original Marx generator was the biggest part of it was the Tesla coil. And it still is, but they've evolved it based off of all that, which creates the fields, the plasma fields, the frequencies, and all this other stuff that we've been talking about and is in the green veil.
And other locations it potentially was at as well. And we, when the article came out on the Wall Street Journal, it referenced to from my friend's case in the Maelstrom incident in '67.
Yeah, that the Marx generator, obviously they modified it, okay, as we've gone along. And the interesting thing was, and this is how I started looking into this in the first place, was I got some information that when the News of the World story broke, Margaret Thatcher classified this particular generator. It went from declassified to classified, and it was involved there outside the back gate. But there's a project that I found out about that the MOD's not sure how to answer that actually ties into a lot of this stuff. And Thatcher herself.
Well, we were developing and locating it and testing it at facilities here in the United States in the 60s.
Yeah, but that all got shut down because of influenza.
Right.
Everything got moved over to England.
To the UK.
Yes,
So
it did.
I'm reading about this Marx generator, which says that it's also used to generate short, high-powered pulses of pocket cells, driving a TEA laser, ignition of conventional explosive of a nuclear weapon, and radar pulses.
That's the advanced version, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But there's other equipment involved with this that ties into that generator. And it also, that generator, I know Salas doesn't want to hear what I have to say, was tied in. And they made this big deal about how they would have known it was there and it wasn't. It was there. It's in
Is there
document.
evidence and documentation to back that up?
Yes. The Marx generator was tied to the SAGE system, which is a three-phase system, which nobody knows the three phases are. It's three different phases within the SAGE generator that was tied to the entire northern tier NORAD system for early warning detection, right? But if you go back, all you got to do, Chris, and you may have done this, all the different UFO sightings that happened in northern tier, remember there were 3 in one night? It was Michigan, Montana, and Maine. All those were tied to the system, that system and those generators in that SAGE system. Not only that, no one described the craft. And that's where people get mad. Everybody says it's a craft. Nobody, including what the guys described in the Salas incident, stated it was a craft or that they saw beings. They saw different colored lights and they were doing different things, which all ties into this whole thing. But nobody in ufology wants to even follow this or accept it because they still believe that there's crafts coming from outer space.
It could be energy coming.
Right. This goes deeper, I think, because obviously this is national security. This all sounds like they've been working on SDI before SDI was even announced. That's the kind of vibe.
Yeah, but think of this. SDI was being worked on in the 70s. It wasn't when Reagan came out with it.
Right.
We've got documents showing it was being worked on by Marconi. It got transferred from the United States over to the British, and Marconi was the main contractor involved with it.
So
it included drones, satellites, and computing.
So
SDI, and lasers.
SDI never went away. And
it's the Golden Dome. Think of this.
Exactly
SDI
where I
was
was going.
in our time, and now they're coming out with the Golden Dome. Okay. That's all being announced, and they're moving Space Command right now.
Yeah, Alabama.
But they're not really. What they're doing is they're diverting attention away from NORAD. Space Command is still going to be the guts and nuts and bolts of it's going to be there at NORAD. They'll just have it'd be like moving corporate. You've got all your manufacturing in one place, and you've got the corporate headquarters in someplace else. But they're going to make everybody think everything's going out of Alabama, when in reality, everything's really going on still at NORAD.
Yeah, look at the shiny object here. Don't pay attention to pretty much. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a diversion.
Action, yeah. Oh, yeah.
John, how do you see this being rolled out? Let's say we're correct on everything that we're talking here. So how do you see this being rolled out to the public?
What do you mean? Like a timeline? Like what's rolled out?
Just like, I mean,
the signal.
How are they going to explain all this?
Well, that's the interesting point. If the point is that, remember, Bill caught this. I said there was more stuff coming early next year after what happens on December 24th and the 25th. And they just came out and said in March, they're going to try to interact directly with it, or as close as they can with the Juno. Yeah. Okay. So getting back to what I'm saying is, they're already telling us more than most people even want to listen to or comprehend or even think about. So they could actually casually drop all this stuff. And if the mainstream news doesn't jump on it, I'm not really sure what's going to happen next. I really don't know. I can't. What?
All right, here's what I'm afraid of. You put out a great series and people watch it. And people get the idea that a message is coming, right?
Okay.
And I've seen some of this happening in small bursts. People can't. There's going to be a lot of people who are not going to be able to handle what's coming down the pike. If everything you say happens on the timeline you say it does, people are going to have a hard time handling this stuff, because all of a sudden now the non-believers are going to be believers in ufology. They're going to be scared about.
Well, wait a minute. Why does this have to do anything with ufology?
Well, I'm just using it as a broad
in the field,
right?
Okay.
Because there's no other way to really give it a definition, because we haven't created a definition of what you're talking about. This is all new. It may not be new to you, John. It may not be new to other people who've had direct experience with it. But for people who do not have direct experience, this is new. And there's going to be a lot of people, John, who see an awakening, and how are they going to be able to handle it? Remember, you're still going to have a choice from what you tell me.
And now think of it this way, Chris. Did you see what they said these hearings on Tuesday are going to talk about?
No, I did not.
Did you see, Bill, what they're going to talk about in these hearings?
I briefly read what Luna kind of hinted.
Non-human intelligence.
That's
interdimensional.
There's a colonel that's coming out that's got an engineering background that very few people know what he's all about. He's going to go into some of this on Tuesday, and guess what the Green Veil is about? NHI and AI. Yes. Think of this. That's what I'm saying. This is all like just starting to happen, man.
Right. But when you talk about interdimensional and non-human intelligence, some people, and I've talked to them, and I think
you saw it, right, Bill?
No, but I see some. Chris, could finish your thought, because I just read something that Luna said.
Remember, we always thought there was a spiritual component to this.
Okay.
So,
like the rapture.
Right. And so when you say NHI.
Oh, well, let's change the word from rapture to the reckoning. The reckoning is coming.
Okay. But from a religious point of view, people would maybe make it an analogy to the rapture.
Yeah, but they should change it from the rapture to the reckoning.
I get it. Okay, I'm just saying that there
are. All right. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead. This is getting good.
No, I'm just saying, people will have different interpretations. One interpretation, I could see them saying this is all about angels and demons, the rapture, the reckoning, however way you want to put it. But they'll put this into a box of spiritual stuff, and because we see that already. There's a lot of people saying right now. I mean, I've talked to people like, Chris, don't you believe we're in the rapture right now? Don't you believe that end of times is coming? And I go, I don't know that. Only God knows that. So if something very unique happens, it's going to be interpreted in different ways, John.
Yeah, but that's why we've got to get woken up, and then we'll have a choice. But Bill, what did Luna say?
All right, you guys, this is freaking me out right now because of everything. All of you have been watching this as it's going on, chapter by chapter, doing these preview review shows. And it, like John said, things are happening, and it's kind of odd to say the least how things are coming together. Okay, remember, NHI, AI, things that we've been talking about, consciousness. Listen to what she said. First of all, it says here, oh my gosh, it's got me like bugging out. I'm going to share the screen. This is an article on the New York Post so everybody could see it, what I'm getting it from. Over here, she hints, Luna further teased major revelations coming from Tuesday's hearings on UAPs, commonly known as UFOs. She stated that the hearing will begin to address the claims of non-human and interventional technology. But hold on. We're actually going to basically the president to ask if we can get access to programs that may exist within these different agencies. There's actually a large number of sightings in her area, but here it comes. This is the part that got me. When asked if 3i Atlas could be the product of NHI, Lowe pointed out that human beings are creating their own non-human intelligence, not same thing, NHI, which will eventually have capabilities beyond our own, namely artificial intelligence. We are creating a form of intelligence that is superseding our cognitive abilities simply because it will have more parameters in the neural network we create. It's like giving birth to a child that is much smarter than you. And didn't you make references to this, John?
Yes. I told you that was in chapter 9. Yes. It's
See
in
what I'm
chapter
saying,
9.
Chris? He's mentioned this. And here it's stated by Avi, exactly the stuff that John's been referring to way before all of this even came out.
Guys, there's another question in
It's
chat
weird.
that I'd like to bring up.
Go for it.
John, can you explain how interdimensional?
Yeah, I just posted it.
What's that?
I just posted it on the page. It says, this is where time dilation and perception alterations come in. The Condon report itself admitted that UAPs, like plasma phenomena, can alter human perception, producing apparent sightings of memory inconsistencies. Electromagnetic pulses can cause localized time perception distortions. People in one part of a field can experience events differently, minutes versus seconds, keeps bugging out, or memory blanking. That's likely why Adrian and I experience physical effects exposures inside the field.
The time distortion. Here, there's actually a question coming from Gandalf. He just wants a little clarification. Can John explain how interdimensional works? Still trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, that's what I just put up. Yeah, I just put up how it works. It creates the bubble. The bubble is created. That's what this 3i Atlas is doing right now. Now, they're claiming it's going to disappear for a while. Do they know it's disappearing because you can't see it behind the sun, or it's going to cloak and then reappear?
But what if it's creating its own distortion? And
it is. That's what I mean. That's what they just said. It was out in front. A comet would have a tail behind it. It was in front. It was a plasma distortion in front of it. Now it's starting to overcome the whole object, right? And it will actually probably cloak the object is what's going to happen.
See, they haven't used the word comet anymore. They were very distinct on it before. You know, this is a comet. That's all phased out.
Right, because it doesn't show. That's what I mean. Right. That was when they came out and admitted a comet would have a tail. This has the distortion in front of it. It's now starting to come over the top of the object, which means it's starting to protect the object which means the object will probably cloak in its own bubble.
Or maybe at some future time slow down.
That it's probably going to slow down too. Yes.
Or enter our atmosphere because
That's pure. I'm waiting to see what they say next. I'm just shocked that what's in this book is starting to play out. I really am. I always felt like something like this could happen. I'm going to be the first one to say it right here. I didn't think it was happening like this year, the way it's playing out. You know what I mean? I felt in the future something like this could happen. Would it happen this year? Probably not. But it's just crazy what's going on right now. It is.
But would they even tell us? In other words, is it going to be up to humanity?
It seems like Hobby Loeb is not going to stay quiet.
Okay.
That's my point. For some reason, he's not staying quiet.
I don't know if I agree with everything Hobby Loeb says, though. I'm just not sure on his stuff. I have to do more research on
more
it.
like a what if.
Yeah.
Definitive.
And I want to address this question in chat. Thank you.
Somebody just said it's a lie. It's a false flag. It's not a false flag.
Right. And I was going to address that. I was saying there's a greater truth that you're not getting woke up. A false flag is underway. Dolly, first, thank you for coming on to the channel and listening to the show. Thank you so much for that. However, as John pointed out, there are certain things that are very mysterious that you don't hear about this object. And I'm going to call it an object now because there's things that it's not acting like a comet, as John was saying. It doesn't have a tail. Now, most of the comets I have read about and had to take an astronomy course, which we did about comets, had a tail. It has a tail. It's made of rock and ice and other material, and pieces break away and things happen where you get this distinct tail of the comet. That may not be always the case, but that is one of the features about a comet. And the other thing about it is John has explained that there's a plasma field developing in the front. Now, I have never heard of a comet making a plasma field. I have never heard of a comet having a plasma field that is getting bigger and start to encapsulate the object. Therefore, there are some things with this object that don't fit the description of a comet. So we, as all of us are investigators of this type, we have to question what we're seeing and hearing. Now, we don't take everything as a fact, but you got to start somewhere. Did I make that okay?
You're just based on what you read, but I just want to comment what Dolly said because she's actually a well-renowned experiencer. I know her.
Okay.
I will say this, and everybody has their opinions. I would say this: a lot of people would say, because there's been a lot of rhetoric out there that this could be malevolent in nature, and it's almost like fear porn. And I'm just saying there are people out there that.
Well, tell Dolly I have a telescope. As far as I've looked through a telescope in the direction, obviously nobody on Earth has the strength of a telescope to see it at this point. It's being seen by the telescope out in space. And I'd like her to tell me this. How does she know Hobby Loeb is lying? See, that's where I get a little irritated with people, whether she likes to hear this or not.
Well,
I don't know if he's lying or not. And I don't know what's coming next. But for her to come on here and try to tell us this is a false flag for sure, which a lot of people then won't even pay attention to any of this and stuff like that. That's all I'm saying. I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Point though, there are different opinions from all types of people. Some people think that this could be some artificial object. It's got some kind of intention behind it. There are others think there's all kinds of opinions out there that this could be a false flag event for something else.
Because they conditioned us to believe it's a false flag. So many people right now don't believe anything the government told us. So tomorrow they could come out and tell us the truth, and we probably wouldn't believe it. I mean, that's the bad part about it. You know?
James Webb did do analysis on it last week. Even Mark D'Antonio caught the atlas on his telescope in Arizona. It looked like a little dash.
Yeah, but did
So-
Mark Antonio say it was a comet?
It has the characteristics, but there's some unusual characteristics about it because of the makeup and the place of space that it derived from, that it came from. It's more carbon involved here with this. And I've seen this too on articles about the carbon issue. It does have unusual characteristics
It doesn't have a tail.
because
Comets have tails. I mean,
because it may not be giving off the ice.
what
water.
I'm saying is to this, okay? She goes, other astrophysicists are saying him a liar. Well, here's the thing. Let's see what happens.
Let's see.
Let's play what happens out. Because here's my take. I don't like to use the word false flag, but I firmly believe the government's capable of doing that. I firmly believe that they've done this already. They've shaped things the way they want to control the people. But in this case, I'm not 100% sold that whatever they're going to tell us is a lie. And as far as Javi Loeb goes, I don't think he's lying. And why did Neil deGrasse, how do you say his last name?
DeGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Just came out and said there was a piece that was done as science fiction on Netflix that may not be science fiction, but a real documentary. Now, he's one of the guys that would normally come out and be against this. And he just came out and said that particular science fiction piece may have actually been a documentary of what's happening right now.
And like
Why
I
would
said,
he do that? Why would he do that?
What piece is that, John? What movie?
I told you the movie earlier. I'd have to go back and look at
Okay,
it.
I know what you're talking about then.
Yeah, it was on Netflix.
Don't look
So
up.
why did he come back and say that? He's one of those guys that poo-poos everything. And he just came out and said, well, that could have been, it was presented as science fiction, but actually it could have been a documentary. So I'm a little taken aback by this just because what I wrote is starting to play out. And I'll be the first one to admit later if it doesn't pass my smell test and it is a false flag. And we'll just see how these people all line up later, because all these guys coming out don't have the access to the data that Javi does. He has access to these telescopes, and these other guys don't necessarily have it. So there you go.
all right, so I'm sure we're going to find out more information as the event and as it draws nearer and closer for more observation, especially what they're saying here in this article from the Post, the Halloween Eve thing that's supposedly going to be going on. They're going to keep.
And then why is it United States Congresswoman coming out and teasing like this? I mean, there's something that's going on. And like I said, I'll be the first one to tell you
Luna
if I
doesn't
feel.
tease.
I'm sorry, what?
Luna doesn't tease.
But she is. She's like me in this. What Bill read. She's teasing you because she's not telling you what's going to happen for sure at these hearings and what's going to happen. She's playing the hearings up. My point is, I'll be the first one, and Chris, I think you're the same way. If this smells like a false flag or something doesn't add up, I think you and I'll be the first two. Not that you won't either, Bill, but we'll be the first two to go along with this. And then I'm going to wonder why the green veil's playing out the way it is then. Because that's the other weird thing, too.
She definitely did tease that out about the NHI and interdimensional technology. She did. And she's the one that's right there, hand in hand with Avi, talking about this, that this could be releasing mini probes headed toward Earth, the NHI capability of this.
Right, but Dolly's point is they're gearing up to call it a threat, a security threat.
They've been doing that. Though.
They've been doing that since Lou Alzano in 2017. And then they change their tune a little bit, then they go back to it. The point being is, to be honest with you, from the military background that we have, until you know what you're dealing with, it's got to be considered a national security threat until it's proven otherwise. When you have something coming in from outer space, okay, you have to deal with it as a national security threat right up until you know exactly what it is and it's not hostile. I mean, that's fair right there. I mean, and again, I can't believe right now that this, like you said, Chris, they're changing numerology and stuff. So let's sit back, watch the green veil, and see what Javi says over the next, 5 or 6 weeks, and what other people are saying, in the know.
Right, and I agree with that, John. And I just want to say that, Dolly, first of all, I want to thank you for your comments because it's always good to have a spirited debate. I always
But Dolly's saying it doesn't travel in conventional space. That's right. It doesn't. That's the portion that is traveling in. So
stuff.
anyway.
I just wanted to let her know that it's very nice to hear, even though we agree to disagree. It's good to hear other people's comments on this, and keep sending them in, because even though we may not agree on them at times, we do respect your opinion.
Well, let me go back to this. I don't know what to agree on right now. I'm just trying to tell you what the Greenville talks about and what's starting to come out and from the scientists.
Oh, we got to wrap.
I know, but let's see what happens next. I think this is going to get better by the week, guys. Is what I'm doing now.
Well, I would say this: everything. It's good to have an open mind on all the various possibilities. There's so many opinions out there, which I respect everyone as well. It's going to be fascinating as this draws closer to Halloween and into the Christmas time period, because that's when December 19th seems to be a date of interest. And again, the connection to what you've done, John. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to take a wait and see. I mean, we got to see what happens at this hearing on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's a lot of people are downplaying it, but here's the thing: don't look for evidence. And what I mean by evidence, like there's going to be a smoking gun come on the screen this time, but there could be some data come out that people should pay more attention to, as far as NHI, AI, and what this Air Force officer is supposed to be talking about. And his specialty, guess what it's in? EM stuff. His background is in EM frequencies and stuff.
Interesting.
So that's what I mean. So don't go in it with the fact that we're going to come out with answers completely, but we may learn some data that's very interesting coming out of these hearings. So that's all. And I'm excited, guys. At least I got something to look forward to now.
Hold on. I just want to send this banner out to Dolly there. Dolly, you said that you had some information. Love to hear from it. You can email me at cdeperno549@yahoo.com. We'd be happy to see your information that you got at cdeperno549@yahoo.com.
Also, I'll make this reference. Dolly was a guest with MUFON Contact Radio, which I produced. And like I said, she is a renowned experiencer. She just didn't stumble in here. She's known internationally for what she's been through in her lifetime. So, and if you want to see an episode, check her out. It's on the KGRA YouTube channel or Rumble. You can see that episode. Just look up Dolly Saffron and you'll find it on the MUFON Contact Radio. But guys, we've got to wrap this up. But quick, I don't know if he's going to give us a tease. Give us a quick tease about this Chapter 7, John, the Reclamation Code.
Everybody just keep an open mind, because we are in an interesting time where, like you said, different people have different views. And I think the closer we get to the end of October into the winter time, we may get a better idea of whether it's real or whether it's something else. And I'm very much, for the first time, I think there's something more to it than just the typical BS that's always been coming out. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, I have questions, and I know Chris will as well, after Chapter 7 airs on Thursday. I have a lot of questions already, so I'm ready, and I hope everybody watches this.
Oh, one other thing. There's always an extra primer in the music. If you want to listen, if you have a question as you're listening, listen to the song a couple times, and you'll pick up a piece that's not totally explained in the narrative that helps explain the narrative better.
And before we end, we must also say thanks to Keith Kerlock, the person behind a lot of what you're seeing in these chapters, the music, all the animation, narration, all of it. Even though John, of course, is the one that created this, but you got to give credit to those people that are putting this all together for all of us. So Bex Creek Soundscape Studio, you can see the website there, bcss.rocks, and also the YouTube at Rose City Sound Project. So, gentlemen, any closing thoughts before we wrap?
I can't wait till next week.
Wait until next week. It's going to be great.
And we're
Not
gonna-
only for what the Greenbelt is going to be talking about, what's going to come out of the hearings on
That's what I was
Tuesday,
going to say.
and as what is Hobby Love going to say next.
Exactly.
I'm really
No.
this.
And Lunar, but also if they're going to deploy the Juno, they have to do it soon. So we might even hear if NASA's going to do it or not before we come back next Saturday.
Yes,
So
it could be a really interesting week. Is what
it's
I'm
going to be
getting
an
at.
interesting week, I believe, as well. So for everybody that's watching and listening, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. John, Chris, and I will be back along with possibly Commander Cobra next week. I will not be here in 2 weeks because I'm going to a concert, but these guys, they'll be around hanging out with all of you. So we'll be back next week. Have a great weekend and enjoy the Green Veil.